Well, good morning and welcome back to the V6 project. It's mid-September and I haven't really done a thing to the truck since May. As you can see, the truck itself is sitting rather forlorn outside with the tarp over the engine. It's just been that kind of summer, really busy. But the last couple of days I re-energized myself and did a little body work. So yesterday I got the first coat of color coat on to at least the bulkhead and the backs of some of the other panels. So today I should be able to get the rest of the paint done, which would be really great. I haven't really done much body work. As you can see, some of the finish is not really ideal, but bulkhead was galvanized and you can never really get it really good without fairing it all out. But to tell you what, before we get too involved in this, we got to flash back to a few clips that I shot in May and early June that I hadn't assembled yet. So back in time, getting the reflex lining done and the exhaust system done. See ya. Okay, the stuff's back from getting reflex lined. I love it. This stuff is like rubber. It's really, really, really soft and has a great, great texture to it. So you can see I've done the entire tub, down into the toolboxes as well. It's just fabulous. Here's the seat box. It's the bottom of the seat box. If you remember, this is all insulated, sound insulated. You can see it's soft there because I'm squeezing the foam, but it's completely encapsulated with the lining. There's the top side of the seat box with two toolboxes, all lined inside, so your tools can rattle around in there and not make any noise and not scratch up the paint and all that stuff. And well, the bulkhead, look at that. Imagine rhino lining the entire, reflex lining, the entire inside of a Series II dash. But I love it. It's really, really going to be great. It's going to be quiet. I can toss stuff in here. It doesn't slide around, doesn't make that rattly noise, and it'll be that much more protected against long term. Here's my little dams I made. If you remember, the little piece of aluminum that was in here, but now it's basically looks factory, because it's all covered in with the liner. And on the engine side, again, this has got the insulation on it, so it's soft, but everything is well sealed, all in sealed through here. And no, I'm really, really happy with this. The dust you see coming out the corners is a little bit of sand from sandblasting, and none of that got into the lining. It just happened to get there when we were turning it over. I have to think of some way to put spacers in here so that when I actually put the pedal towers in, it doesn't just squeeze this. But actually, in retrospect, I may be able to just squeeze that flat. As long as it's good and tight, it won't affect the pedal towers. I think that'll be just fine. Excellent. Well, today I'm going to try to get, it's Saturday, and it's the one dry day we've had in about 6 weeks. And the rain starts again tomorrow, and we'll carry on for the next week or so. So I'm going to try to finish the bodywork today, outside, sanding and priming, and then make it enough room in here. The shop is an absolute disaster, as you can tell looking around. There's just too many things going on in here, and I haven't had time to clean up. So I got to do that this afternoon too, so that tomorrow I can paint the color coat, the deep green that I'm putting on. I'm going to set up a big plastic tent in here so that I can actually paint the shop without getting overspray everywhere. If I can do that, the truck will be painted by Sunday night, giving me basically 4 evenings next week to get the truck together and off Moose Trophy next Friday. The truck goes to the muffler shop next Wednesday, but it has to be a rolling chassis, because that's the only way I can entice the guy to do it. So I'll have to set up most of the bodywork to make sure everything fits, and then take it all off again, put the truck on a trailer and take it up to the muffler shop so we can do the exhaust work from above. Makes it a lot easier, obviously, and get that going. There really isn't that much more to do that I'm worried about. I still have the radiator to deal with, but because I've gone to the short water pump, that's going to be a lot easier. I have the problem with the power steering pump, which we'll touch on again shortly. And that may still be a bit of a problem, but I'm not too worried. But anyway, I think next couple of days we'll be in good shape. I'm not determined to make the Moose Trophy, this deadline that I've set for myself, because really it's the quality of the truck that matters. But I'm going to work at it because I'd like to get it done. And all the better if I do. Check in soon. Bye. Alright, so it's Sunday, 4 days to my deadline of Moose Trophy, and I've pretty much accepted today I'm not going to make it. I was going to paint yesterday, or prime yesterday, and finish the bodywork, and then paint the truck today. Well, it got desperately cold, and my spray gun was broken, so I couldn't do that, so the truck is unpainted. That's not the end of the world. I'm really not in a big concern about missing the Moose Trophy. I don't off-road anyway, so I'll go and have a good time, but the truck won't be there. But that's okay. So listen, I'm getting ready to put the rear tank on, and I'm really pleased I'm going with the rear tank on this truck because it gives me all that storage up front. You already know I have those new toolboxes in. And the tub is already set up for a rear fill. I basically grafted on the rear fill neck. It's really a recess from a 109 station wagon. But here's the really neat thing about putting a rear tank in a military, ex-military frame. The ex-military frame is a straight across cross member in the back, whereas a civilian one has the, the slope down and notch down and up again. Quite familiar. The only problem is, when you think about it, is that because the military rear cross member is only 5 inches deep, it's 2.5 inches too high to carry the rear lip of the rear gas tank. And I don't know if there's a special version of the rear tank that has this lip higher up, because I have seen 109 pickup trucks with rear tanks, but maybe I've never seen a military one. But anyway, there's a very slick solution, because this truck is also going to have a wicked trailer hitch. Enter the 2.5 inch hollow section steel tube that's going to sit under here, bringing us down to the 7.5 that we're looking for. And these 2 bolt holes go right through and we'll pick up the tank. So that works out really slick. Basically, it's adding a proper Class 3 receiver hitch on the back of a Land Rover without one of those ones that sticks off the back and kind of awkward, and without really taking away from any ground clearance, because it's going to be above this. So that works out really slick. I actually made up this rear hitch last time I built up this truck, and it's worked out really well. We've done quite a lot of work with it, and in fact we've hauled some very heavy stuff with it. No issues at all. Talk to you later. So here's what the tank and hitch look like when it's all set in. Here you can see the hitch, not quite bolted up yet, but it's in place, and you can just see the flange underneath of the back of the gas tank. So it actually works out very slick. The gas tank is exactly where it's supposed to be, and I get a free spacer out of a Class 3 hitch. I think it's slick as heck. See ya. Well, it's the Friday before Victoria Day weekend, and as you can see, the truck is not ready. I had a couple of small setbacks, not the least of which was some issues with the front drive pulleys, which I'll get into in a minute. But I'm not really too disappointed. I had a really busy couple of weeks with work, and really there was almost no chance I could have done this anyway. Although it's close. And I wasn't going to off-road the truck this weekend anyway, so I'll go up in the Blazer and have a really good time. So anyway, what happened up front here was that I think I mentioned I can't use the serpentine setup, and that meant I had the opportunity of switching to the short Chevy water pump. This water pump is actually 1.5 inches shorter than the one that came on this truck, giving me even more room for my radiator, which is great. But then I had to go to what's known as short water pump pulleys, because the whole setup had to move back a little bit, and it changes the way it works on the harmonic balancer. And I had to go to V-belt. So I'm going to have a bracket over here for the power steering pump, and a bracket over here for the alternator. All fine and well, kind of old school. The only problem was a harmonic balancer on a 4.3 is not the same as a small block Chevy. It's got a lip on the edge. You can't really see it now because it's behind this pulley, which means the whole pulley has to be spaced out about 1/2 inch, which means the water pump pulley also has to be spaced out about 1/2 inch, and they still don't line up well. I have to bring this out even further because they didn't line up to begin with, because I don't think, even with the flange on there, this is not the same harmonic balancer as you'd see on a small block Chevy. So I have to resolve all that. I also have a problem with the power steering pump. Normally the power steering pump wants to sit about here. Well, the steering gear is here, and well, so is the frame. So I've actually found a really slick, smaller power steering pump that's a Chevrolet product that will sit in front of the head. So I think that'll be great. More on that later. Alternator, no problem. Very common to be able to put an alternator back here. This head is set back a little bit anyway, so that won't be a problem. So just need some fiddling. What I probably need to do is swap on a V8 harmonic balancer, but I have to make sure I can do that because I want to make sure that that balancer is not specific to the engine, and I don't want to run into balancing issues. But other than that, I'm moving along quite nicely. I've had the headers bent out, which now clear the starter and the clutch assembly, so that works great. It's going to the muffler shop next week. I'm just about to set up all the fuel injection harness. This is the engine side of it. And here is the computer side of it. I'm going to mount the computer against the bulkhead right here. I'm hoping you're pointing the camera in the right direction. And I'll build a little box out around it. So that'll work out pretty well. Okay, alright, Moose Trophy. We're finally in a Land Rover. The thing about coming to Moose Trophy in a Blazer is that you feel pretty guilty. So Dave has been kind enough to hand his crazy dog. Holy mackerel. It's funny. You take a video camera out, the dog wants all a piece of it. Well, good morning. Got the truck back from the muffler shop last night, and I'm not sure I'm entirely thrilled with the way it went, but on the whole it's pretty good. I had to have the entire system tucked up higher than the lowest cross member because I didn't want anything dragging, and it's 2 1/4 pipe, which is not huge, but certainly big for a Land Rover. Anyway, let's have a look at how it went. So this is the header that I had to have bent out so it would clear the starter and the front prop shaft. So as we come by here, this pipe comes way up and over the first cross member, down underneath to clear the prop shaft. Have the oxygen sensor in here for the throttle body fuel injection. Anyway, let's go around the other side. This side, of course, is tight because it's up and over the cross member as well. Got the Y pipe coming in from underneath the transmission, which is above the cross member, through exhaust hole, up and over. I'm not sure what I think of this particular mount, but I'll do something about that. And the muffler fit in quite neatly because of the offset, in and under, decent support here to the tailpipe. I'm not sure that's exactly at the right height, but without the body on it was kind of hard to tell. But anyway, on the whole, I think I'm pretty pleased. I might tidy up a couple of mounts and get it started. See you later.